we doing, everybody? And welcome in to Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage. I'm your host, Trage, here on a great Wednesday, August 28th. We're almost through September. I mean, man, oh man, it seems like this summer flew by. Baseball, we got a month left until we're talking about October baseball. I mean, we got the month of September, and then it's October baseball already. College football coming up this weekend already here. Week 1, technically week 0 happened already. We're talking week 1. We got the Badgers coming up on Friday. I got more to talk about with the Badgers today here. Packers, they finalized their initial 53-man roster. Practice squad formation will start here today here, I believe. Practice squad formation will start there. There's some guys who were released by the Green Bay Packers that I hope they get onto that practice squad, because I some of these guys, I watched them release there yesterday. I think have a little bit of upside to them. So I want to see them come back and get onto that practice squad. So lots to get into today here. Yes, 11 a.m. They start building their practice squad after the waiver process concludes at 11 a.m. Central on Wednesday. So at 11 a.m., practice squads can start to form a little bit there. And there's some guys, some names that the Packers released that I'm a little bit concerned may get picked up by another team. Outside of that, though, there are some guys who I believe will end up on the practice squad for this Packers team. And then Brewers, I mean, let's start there. Let's start with the Brewers. We didn't get much into the Brewers yesterday on the show here. Let's start with the Brewers today here. And I just watched, I'm watching the game right now. As you guys know, I record, night before, the day of. So I'm watching the Brewers right now versus the Giants. And Willie Adames, I mean, there's a lot of people out there who do not like how Willie, they don't like his average. Willie doesn't do enough. He's supposed to be this big, star player on this Brewers team, and he doesn't do enough. That's the thing that we hear about all the time, that I see all the time. He doesn't hit lefties good enough. He doesn't do this good enough. I just watched Willie Adames, with the Brewers trailing 3-2, hit a 2-run bomb off of Logan Webb, who has been the best pitcher he's got a .95 ERA before this game, .95 ERA in his last 6 starts or something like that. Just ridiculous numbers that he's been putting up in the second half here. And Willie Adames steps up, drives in, and hits a huge 2-run shot for the Brewers that puts them up 4-3 now in the bottom of the 6th. Whatever this game finishes at, all I'm saying right now, Willie Adames has been playing well this season. And I mean, he's second in RBIs among all shortstops right now. Looking at him in his, last 7 games have been a struggle there, average-wise. In the last 15, 245 there. And in his last 30 games, he's hitting 252. But you look at the collective effort over this season by Willie Adames, 250 average for him there. He's got 65 walks to 86 he's got 65 walks to 141 strikeouts. Not a great in-betweener there. But there's got to be a but. Otherwise, we're just going to completely, bash this guy. 23 home runs and 86 RBIs. You can't replace run production. That's the biggest thing for me. Run production. Yes, the strikeouts, I'd love for him to clean that up. I'd love for that number. If it was even 120, you'd feel a lot better about it, right? It's at 141. Not great. Not great in that aspect there, due to the walks only being at 65. But you look at the home runs, 23, 86 RBIs on the season there. I mean, looking at his on-base percentage, 337, 447 slugging there, OPS sitting at 785. Willie Adames has been a key to this offense. When Willie Adames is going, the offense is going. When Willie Adames starts to struggle, the offense starts to struggle. They need a bat like Willie Adames in there. Jackson Churio, looking at Jackson Churio too, put a light out in the scoreboard last night. He's been phenomenal, right? He's been phenomenal for the Brewers. You need that extra bat behind him. The protection, right? You think about the days of Ryan Braun and when Christian Yelich was getting hot. You know what helped out Christian Yelich in his MVP season? Not just the fact that Christian Yelich was on fire, because he was. You look at those numbers, he was hitting above 300. He had, look at the home run totals, everything like that. Christian Yelich was hitting, phenomenal. I'm not going to take away what he did in that season. But you know what helped him out a lot? The guy behind him. When you have that protection. When you're in a lineup where there isn't looking at, just thinking of a team, looking at the Oakland A's, Brent Rooker. He's still above 290. I think he was at 298 the other day. Brent Rooker has been phenomenal. And what makes it even better is you look at the rest of that lineup. Miguel Andujar has hit well for the A's this season. I believe last time I looked, he was around like 278. Not a bad, he's having a pretty good year. I mean, for a guy that a lot of people gave up on, he's having a great year with the Oakland A's there. The thing that doesn't help out a lot of guys, a lot of stars, is when they don't have that protection in a lineup. Bats behind him who can get things done. Jackson Churio being up there with Contreras behind him, with Adames behind him, with even a guy, a lot of people, they love to bash on Rhys Hoskins. But I can tell you one thing. Pitchers are still worried about Rhys Hoskins. I will tell you that now. The dude's got raw power. He's got a ton of raw power, and they don't want to face him with runners on because they know the damage that he can do. So when you have guys behind him who are hitting the baseball, it makes Jackson Churio's job way easier. It makes Bryce Terang, even at the top of the order, it makes pitchers have to throw to Bryce Terang, which makes his job a lot easier. So Willie Adames being able to do what he does, driving in runs at this clip, 86. I mean, I can pull up complete rankings there. Let's go RBIs in total on the season there in the National League. Fourth in RBIs behind Ozuna, Ohtani, and Alec Bohm. And he's right behind Alec Bohm. Alec Bohm's got 89. Adames has 86 on the season. So there's your numbers. Fourth in RBIs on the season. That tells everybody this guy can drive in runs. I don't want guys on base when this guy comes to the plate. If Willie Adames wasn't in this lineup, I think it changes the lineup. Well, it definitely changes the lineup. You're talking 86 RBIs. It definitely changes the lineup, but it makes everybody's lives a little bit tougher. So what Willie Adames has been able to do this year, do the numbers look great? No, they don't. The numbers don't jump off the page at you. They don't scream, this guy should be the highest paid shortstop in baseball. They don't scream, this guy is worth as much as what they paid Dansby Swanson. It's not worth that. If you're looking at statistics, right? But if you look at the ability to drive in runs, this guy right here, Willie Adames, I mean, we can look at shortstops in the National League right now. Leads all shortstops in the National League. 86 RBIs. Next closest, Francisco Lindor with 78 RBIs in the season. And he's actually got more home runs than what Willie Adames has. There's your perspective. There's your perspective of where he sits. You look in all of baseball right now with Willie Adames. One behind Bobby Witt. Right now he's 8 behind Bobby Witt for RBIs there. Now Bobby Witt is on pace to be he's going to be a candidate for the MVP. I don't know if he'll win the MVP. He's still putting up, the numbers for Bobby Witt are unreal. 347, 38 doubles, 11 triples, 27 home runs. Bobby Witt's been unreal, right? But he's got to deal with Judge, Ohtani. You got all them guys you got to deal with. All the household names, right? Bobby Witt's kind of the outlier, the outlandish guy right now in that category just because of those other names and the power that they bring, 27 home runs for Bobby Witt. That's a breakout year, to be honest. He's going to probably hit 30. Probably 30 plus, maybe 32 in that range. I would say he probably finishes with 32. Bobby Witt's not a big home run clip guy, so I can't say that he's going to be up in the 35, right? He's going to go on a burner, but he might. He might go on a burner here and have just one of them kind of years where he's a 30-30 guy, because looking at stolen bases, he's got 27 right now. He could get up to that 30. He could be a 30-30 guy. So, he's going to be 30-30 with doubles to home runs, so that'd be impressive too. And if he can get, 15, or he's got 11 triples right now. If he ends up in the 15 triple range, that is an unreal season right there. So hats off to Bobby Witt for what he's been able to do. But Willie Adames for the Brewers, I see too many people who are just completely bashing this guy for the average, everything like that. I'm going to tell you this right now. RBIs and run production to a team like this who struggles to put runs across or push runs across is huge. So Willie Adames, to me, huge part of the Brewers' success and why they are where they are right now. Defensive-wise, I don't know if he's had his best defensive season that we've seen from him here in Milwaukee, but still, Willie Adames is still a good defender. This season, probably I would say he's like a B+. B plus B in that range there. As we see Terang draw a walk, bases loaded now for Churio. Oh baby! I mean, I'm hoping I'm in between talking about something else. I get talking about a grand slam here because Churio's the guy, right? Churio's the guy. You cannot. It's like, watching Jackson Churio, for me, at least in this second half, it gives me those Christian Yelich vibes that I had in 2018, right? It was, or even 2019. It was one of those at-bats where you don't want to miss it because it's electric, right? That's what I have with Jackson Churio right now. I don't know what it is. But this guy, he steps into the box. I mean, we just talked about earlier, Logan Webb has been phenomenal in the second half, especially in the month of end of July, August. He's been phenomenal for the Giants. And Jackson Churio stepped in there as Logan Webb was starting. After that first inning he struggled. Brewers got to him a little bit there. Didn't give up any runs, but they were, Contreras had, a 15-pitch at-bat. It was, crazy at-bat, ended in a walk or 17, something like that there. I mean, the Brewers were putting together pretty good at-bats, but then he kind of found his groove, right? And Churio took that changeup and just drove it 449 feet. That was awesome. But it's just like this guy is one of those, and I watch him fly out. Son of a gun. See, got under it a little bit there. Or as I'm talking about. But, that's the thing. He is one of those guys right now where it is a can't miss at bat for me. I don't know why. You get those players, during the season where it's like, I can't miss this guy's at bat. That's Jackson Churio for me right now. That is him in a nutshell. Every time he comes up the bat, I'm constantly like, if I'm on the radio, I turn it. If I'm listening on the radio, I turn it up a little bit. If it's on the TV, I'm like, I'm glued in. I'm focused. I'm all about watching that at bat because he has been nothing but great for the Brewers, especially since Christian Yelich went down. When Christian Yelich went down, everybody was worried about, okay, me included. How do we replace the average? How do we replace the RBIs? How do we replace everything that Christian Yelich was doing for this Brewers team early on? How do we replace that, right? And it was like, okay, we're going through the list of outfielders that we had. And then even some people, I even, mentioned myself. I was like, okay, the Brewers are targeting Fetty from the White Sox. Now, Fetty hasn't been great since coming over from the White Sox there to the Cardinals, but when the Brewers are targeting Fetty, I was like, maybe they can double dip and get Luis Robert too. They might have sent a haul, but Luis Robert would be a big bat in the outfield to add to this Brewers roster. And I was going through all them, different kind of scenarios of different outfielders, right? Brent Rooker from the A's. There was a ton of, I wouldn't say a ton of options out there, but a ton of candidates that you could at least attempt to trade for, right? And I was all over that. I was all over the map with it. And then all of a sudden, Jackson they call him Jack, right? Jack there for Pat Murphy. He just found his groove, right? And it was like all at once, Brewer fans were able to say, it sucks. We wish that Christian Yelich was still out there because if Jackson Churio was hitting this well with Christian Yelich still in the lineup too, hitting as well as he was, this Brewers lineup will be unreal right now. We'd be talking about this in a whole different light where we'd be able to compare this lineup to, say, the Dodgers, to the Phillies, and say, they got some competition at different spots, right? But without Christian Yelich, Churio turned it on. He turned it on. He stepped in and he said, okay, I know we're missing Yelich right now. I know we are, but I can fill that gap. I can fill that void until next season now, but at that point it was until Christian Yelich does return. Now, he did get back surgery. Actually, they said Yelich was talking about it. I saw a little article about it and just, tidbits here and there. And he said, it wasn't just on the field that the back actually affected him. It was actually in everyday life, right? And that's one of those things where if that was the case, you hated to see him go out for the season there. You wanted to see him try and rehab that. But if you can't even, go home and relax and just, be able to just, if you have a dog or whatever, right, be able to walk your dog and everything without feeling a pain in your back. Okay, now you got to go get that checked out. You got to get that checked out. So him getting that checked out, that's great that he did and that he got the surgery, because now they're saying he's actually feeling pain-free for the first time in years. So hopefully, this is the hope, right? That is going to fix that back problem that has been nagging him for years now. That is going to fix that, so that way it's not a problem come next year. And that you have him for that full season, not missing a week, not missing, games because of it, right? That's going to be huge. So I was happy to see that the back surgery is successful and that he's pain-free for the first time in the longest time. You got to love to hear that that kind of news there. But back to Jackson Churio, back to the outfield as a total. Sal Frelick has filled a void out there. The only guy that I would say I wish would maybe find it a little bit here is Garrett Mitchell. Mitchell, who, Blake Perkins returned, and now I don't know if we're going to see Garrett Mitchell as much. He was filling that void when we were missing him too, but Garrett Mitchell, looking at him over the last 15 games, 159, he was hitting the ball better in that last 7 games there. He was hitting 261. It's the strikeout numbers that bother me with Mitchell, because the production, I was talking about Willie Adames there, right? And Willie Adames, the RBIs, it makes looking at those strikeout numbers a little bit easier as we watch. I hate Yastrzemski. I don't know what it is, but I just dislike Yastrzemski so much. Hits a bomb off of Yoel Payamps there. Payamps had been pitching well. And now we see Yastrzemski take him deep there, a moonshot. Son of a gun. 5-4 Giants there as we shoot here. But Garrett Mitchell, the strikeout looking is what really bothers me with him, because it's not like he's going down swinging. He's watching a lot of called strike threes, and a lot of the called strike threes, they're dead red. Like, they're not like it's corner pitches. It's not like it's a bad call. We saw bad calls last night there in that game against the Giants there from the whole plate umpire. We've seen Garrett Mitchell have some good games, but we've also seen the bad, and we've seen the strikeouts, right? And the strikeouts, I think right now, are my most worrisome thing with Garrett Mitchell. And that's why I believe that Blake Perkins, it might be Blake Perkins' job to lose at this point. I think they will platoon it a little bit out there. I think they'll give Perkins some days off. I think they're going to give, Sal a day off here, right? Maybe move Churio to the DH role for a day, because that's how well he's been hitting, right? You put that guy in the DH and, put Mitchell back in the outfield, because I still believe your best outfield is Mitchell, Perkins, and Sal Frelick, just because Mitchell is that dynamic outfielder. Churio is a good outfielder. I don't think he's completely there yet, so that's where I'm kind of, Mitchell might be a late game outfielder for Jackson Churio. But then you run into that problem where if he comes up to bat, then you lose Churio's bat, so you don't want to play that game. It's a lot of different chess pieces to play in a game that I'm glad I don't have to. There. But all in all, the Christian Yelich injury, if you really think about it, end of the day, yes, it was a big blow to this Brewers team, who is in the playoff. They're heading. I believe, truthfully, they should be in the playoffs, right? They're going to be in the playoffs. I really do. Knock on wood, it would take a collapse, but I really do believe, this team will be in the playoffs, probably as a 3 seed. I think they're going to win this division outright, and then we'll see what happens in the postseason. So it was a big blow for Yelich to go out, but I think this is one of those things where Yelich may be out, but it gives Pat Murphy, it gives the organization, it gives them this little glimpse of what they've been building in the minors, seeing it all on the field, seeing it together, right? Because what says that next season you don't want to say, hey, Yelich, I want you to be the DH now, and I want to put these other 3 guys in the outfield. Now you kind of have that sample size now where you can see it. You watched it already. You know what it looked like. Now we feel better. Or maybe we're like, I don't know about this guy. It gives that perspective of this is the future of the organization out there in the outfield right now. Who do we want to sign because you're going to want to sign him young, right? Just like they did with Churio. If you're planning on keeping Sal Frelick around for a while, you might want to sign a deal with Frelick. I don't know if he's going to be this hot commodity if he goes to a free agent or if he becomes a free agent, but you don't want to get to that point. If you want Sal Frelick, you don't want to be in a bidding war for Sal Frelick. You want Sal Frelick to feel like, hey, we want you here too. We want to win championships with you. Let's make something happen. Or if Garrett Mitchell, you feel like Garrett Mitchell's that guy. Okay, now we know. Or Blake Perkins, if you want it. Blake Perkins is like, I love Blake Perkins, right? I love that guy. He is like the most carefree dude to watch rob a home run in the world. Like, he just slowly hums back there, gets to the wall, leaps, catches it, throws it in. Like, it's just so nonchalant when he does it. It's actually awesome. But, so you have all these talented outfielders, right? It's time to see them out there every day. So that's what they're getting. So with Christian Yelich being out, is it bad? I mean, yeah, you'd love to have him out there, but is it good for the future of the organization to see some of these guys? Yeah, I think it is. I think it really is. We get to experience these guys all together for this extent of time here. I think it'll be good for them, good building blocks to go off of there, and good, like I said, for the organization to get a little taste of what they have moving forward here. So that's about all I got with the Brewers for the day there. Just talked about a couple of guys there, talking about this game going on right now, right? Just jumping around there, talking about where the Brewers are kind of sitting and what I've been seeing everybody talking about, right? It's what I love to get into is where the conversation pieces that I see all over Facebook or wherever it is, everybody talking about Willie Adames and Jackson Churio, this and everything else. I just wanted to get into those today and talk about them a little bit there. So with that, before we move on here, I want to get to the Packers 53-man roster, but before we get there, I want to mention the great sponsors of this show here. So, first, Game Day Supply in Onalaska. Do you have a sports club or team? Are you looking for some sweet custom uniforms or apparel? Check out the awesome crew at Game Day Supply in Onalaska to help your team get the sweetest gear. Find them on Facebook at Game Day Supply or online at GameDaySupply.net. Also, Pittsville Farm and Home Center. At the store, they serve you anything from hydraulic hoses to red roses. Stop in and see the awesome crew at Pittsville Farm and Home Center in Pittsville, Wisconsin. Marshfield Motor Speedways, located just 3 miles outside of Marshfield on County Road H. There is still racing going on this summer into the fall yet, so make sure you get down to the track. Tons of family fun for all ages. Great food, great drinks, great atmosphere. Nothing better than a great summer day or night down at the track there. Marshfield Motor Speedways. Your hometown team, Century 21 Gold Key Realty. Call Peggy, Sue, or Anna to find your dream home or if you're looking to sell. Find them on Facebook at your hometown team, Century 21 Gold Key Realty, or stop in and see them at their location in Marshfield. Sports Scene, sports cards and memorabilia, located in the Marshfield Mall in Marshfield, Wisconsin. Get down there and see Al. He has everything you need from sporting cards and memorabilia, jerseys, model stock cards. He's got it all. Sports Scene in Marshfield and Sport and Spine Clinic in Greenwood, Wisconsin. If you've been injured recently, whether it was at work, whether you were mowing the lawn, playing with the kids, the dogs, maybe you were just taking the trash cans down to the road and you felt something tear, pop, didn't feel right. You went to your doctor. They said, you better go see a physical therapist. I cannot name a better guy to go and see than Chad at Sport and Spine Clinic in Greenwood there. He'll get you right. He'll get you back to work, back playing with the dogs, the kids, pushing trash cans wherever you want to push them, feeling better than ever. Instead of pushing them, you'll be carrying them down to the curb. You'll be doing it all, right? Sport and Spine Clinic in Greenwood, Wisconsin there. So with that, let's get to the Packers. Let's get to the Packers here. The initial 53-man roster was announced yesterday. All kinds of cuts happening throughout the day. There's some big ones, some ones there, and, just interesting ones, I guess you could say there. So, in the quarterback room, we kind of expected this one, but we will see Jordan Love, right? We will see Jordan Love, the money man himself, right? Jordan Love going to be in there, number one, QB1, right? And then we see Malik Willis. It's pending a physical yet. I'm guessing he's going to pass a physical, but pending a physical, he will be in there. So they have 2 quarterbacks on the roster. They did release Sean Clifford and Michael Pratt. So, your Sean Clifford, I expect they're just going to release him, and that's going to be it. Michael Pratt, I do expect they will re-sign and send to the practice squad. That's going to be my gut feeling on that one. Michael Pratt was he's the we're trying to develop this guy yet. That's where I see with Michael Pratt. The Malik Willis signing by the Packers was insurance just in case if Jordan Love goes down for a short amount of time. Now, if he has a season-ending injury, knock on wood there. But if he does, okay, now it's Malik Willis time, and you're not. I mean, if you somehow make the playoffs, you make the playoffs, right? But Malik Willis is like, if Love's out for 2 weeks, we want Malik Willis in there because I believe he can win us games over what Sean Clifford and over what Michael Pratt were believed to be able to what they could do for this Green Bay Packers team. So Malik Willis gets a job. Sean Clifford, Michael Pratt are released as of right now. Looking at the running back room, we see Josh Jacobs, Marshawn Lloyd, and Emmanuel Wilson. That's good to see Marshawn Lloyd on that list because that tells you good things about his health, right? Wasn't on the injury reserve, nothing like that. Just, flat out made the 53-man roster, makes you feel good about that. So on the injured reserve, done for the season, A.J. Dillon. Is this, which could be, this could be the end of A.J. Dillon's time in Green Bay. With that, with this season-ending injury here, this is it. I really do believe after what Emmanuel Wilson showed in the preseason, Marshawn Lloyd, the rookie, I expect good things out of Marshawn Lloyd, and then Josh Jacobs is Josh Jacobs. Plus, you look at this Packers team, realistically, I think Josh Jacobs is going to get a good amount of touches, but with the talent they have at wide receiver, with the arm talent they have in Jordan Love, the touches for, Jacobs elsewhere are going to be limited, I would say, for the first 3 quarters. And if it's a blowout in the fourth and they're just trying to burn up clock, there's your touches. Outside of that, I think it's going to be a very spread offense. So A.J. Dillon, I don't know if he's needed anymore in Green Bay. So I'm the injury reserve for the rest of the season here. We'll see what they do in the offseason there, but I do expect that to be the last we'll see of A.J. Dillon in a Packers uniform. Merriweather and McCray both released. Nothing crazy surprising there. I believe that one of those two will end up on the practice squad for the Packers there. Wide receiver room, this is where, there was a lot of controversy. Who would get in, who wouldn't. The Packers decided on 6 guys. Romeo Doubs, Christian Watson, Jaden Reed, Dontavian Wicks, Malik Heath, and Bo Melton. So Heath gets the job. Grant DuBose, Samori Torre, Julian Hicks, Dimitri Stanley, and Jalen Wayne were all released. I really, in that group right there, I do hope that Samori Torre and DuBose end up on the practice squad. I really do, because I think those two I think DuBose especially has a boatload of potential. Torre is just solid. I have loved what I've seen out of Torre when the Packers have given him time. I like both those guys. I really hope that the Packers can keep them on the practice squad. I think, those names, somebody might try and pick them up out there. I hope they pass through. The Packers can quick grab them, put them on the practice squad, and potentially if we need them at some point in the season, we will see one of those guys. Looking at the tight end room, Tyler Davis, injury reserve for the season there. He was another one of those names out for the year. Joel Wilson was released. Thank goodness. I was done with him. I was done. I'm not impressed by Joel Wilson. Swinson was also released and Pearson was released. I expect one of those guys to make it onto the practice squad there. Tight end room, Luke Musgrave, Tucker Kraft, pretty, straightforward there. And Ben Sims will also be in there too. Ben Sims is hit or miss for me. He's hit or miss for me. You're going to see most of the offense is going to run around Musgrave and Kraft, so you won't see a lot of Sims there. But, he's a number 3. He's the number 3 in Green Bay. Offensive line, this one, this is about where we saw it all happen. And Royce Newman, a lot of people wanted him out of Green Bay. I was included in that one. Released by the Green Bay Packers. That was okay with me. I thought it was actually last season they should have released Royce Newman. They held on to him there. Well, it's okay with me that he's gone now. Caleb Jones also released. Tenuta was released. Smith was released, and Jennings was released by the Green Bay Packers there. Looking at the offensive line, Elton Jenkins, Josh Myers, Rasheed Walker, Zach Tom, Jordan Morgan, Sean Ryan, Andre Dillard, Jacob Monk, Kadeem Telford, and Travis Glover all made it on. Their 10 offensive linemen they're going to carry into this season here. I mean, that's a good list of offensive linemen. Rasheed Walker, I expect him to take leaps forward this year. Zach Tom is solid. I expect him to be a big boost for the Packers on the line there. Josh Myers, it's like hit or miss for me game by game with him. And then Elton Jenkins has been nothing but solid. A lot of people don't talk about Elton Jenkins. I like what I've seen of Elton Jenkins in Green Bay. So that, to me, I like the Packers offensive line. I think they might be an underrated offensive line heading into this season. Looking at the defensive ends right now, Preston Smith, Rashawn Gary, no surprise there. Lucas Van Ness expected it. Kingsley Engelbar, that was kind of expected there. And then we did see Brenton Cox Jr. get on and Aaron Mosby also added into that group there. Nothing really crazy in the guys that released. Alexandre, Banks, Morton, and Allen. Defensive tackle, we see Kenny Clark on the defensive tackle list there. TJ Slayton, Devontae Wyatt, Carl Brooks, and Kobe Wooden. I want to see leaps forward by Carl Brooks and Kobe Wooden this season here. It was, growing pains and everything like that. Preseason was solid for them both, but I want to see both those guys take leaps forward in this season here. And then also in the injured reserve designated to return, Jonathan Ford is on that list right now. Esther, Wage, and Shad were all released. Inside linebacker, Quay Walker, Isaiah McDuffie, Eric Wilson, Edgerrin Cooper, and Tyron Hopper. That's a guy that I can't wait to actually get some playing time is Hopper there. I want to see what Hopper is made of there. A lot of injuries that the Packers have had in this preseason. I mean, a lot of injuries. Most of their draft class got injured. So a lot of people are like, what the heck's going on? Packers are grabbing all these injured guys. It happens. Guys get hurt. I mean, it happens. I want to see Hopper take a huge step forward. Quay Walker, for me, is a underlying factor on this defense. A lot of people, after his first couple, have been like, Quay Walker's going to be solid, but that's about it. I expect him to take a big leap forward this season here. Now it seems like there was a leash on him. I think they still have that leash on him, but I think it's one of those leashes with the retractable little handle on it where you can let him loose and then pull him back. I think that's what he's going to have now with Hafley in there as the defensive coordinator. So I cannot wait to see Quay Walker out there. Cornerback, one guy that got released in this inside linebacker room, Welch had a fantastic preseason for Green Bay. I'm really hoping they can get him on the practice squad, and then we can see him at some point if needed. We can see him at some point because I thought he had a great preseason. I actually expected that he could potentially, maybe, just maybe, make this roster, maybe over like Eric Wilson. But they went with Wilson. He's pretty good on special teams, so that also factors into a lot of these decisions. You need guys good on special teams. I'm hoping Welch ends up there on that practice squad and potentially see him at some point. Looking at the cornerback room, Jair Alexander, Eric Stokes, Keyshawn Nixon, Carrington Valentine, and Corey Ballantyne. I'm going to be honest with you. I would have been okay if we would have seen Kalen King get the spot over Corey Ballantyne. I don't think we've seen the potential of what Corey Ballantyne could be, but I liked what I saw out of Kalen King. I would not have been hurt if I would have saw Kalen King get in there over Ballantyne. Now we hope, right, that some of these guys will stay in Green Bay. Odds are, if other teams saw the tape, they like this guy, potentially get picked up. But it's, most teams, they find their 53-man roster, and that's about it. So your practice squad is basically made up of guys who you released or out there in waivers, right? Some random guys that nobody else wants. So definitely, Kalen King would be a guy for me that I thought potentially could have gotten on there that didn't end up on there. In that safety room, Xavier McKinney, Bullard, Williams, those are guys I expected. Zane Anderson and Oladapo. I don't know. Anthony Johnson, for me, I could have taken him over Zane Anderson. I liked what I saw at Anthony Johnson Jr. That was a toss-up for me. It's going to be more in a reserve role there, but I don't know. That would be my one. That would be my biggest one there. I could have taken Anthony Johnson over Zane Anderson. Special teams right now, Daniel Whelan. I mean, he's the punter. We know that as of right now. Greg Joseph did win the job over Anders Carlson and Alex Hale. So one of those guys, I mean, man, I'm not going to say that I was surprised. I'm going to be honest with you. I really did think Green Bay would stick with Anders Carlson. I did not think they would be so quick to move on from him there. I did expect them kind of to say, Greg Joseph, they were so close in preseason. We'll stick with Carlson until we find something better. They stuck with Greg Joseph, more of the veteran look in Greg Joseph. In Goody we trust, right? That's what everybody tells me. In Goody we trust. I really do believe they're still, they're out there on a manhunt right now, trying to find a kicker. They're trying to find a kicker to fill that void right now. Greg Joseph is just a placeholder for the next guy. That's all I can think about when I heard about the move, everything like that. I sat there and I was like, this is a placeholder for the next guy. They are openly looking all around because the 53-man rosters were figured out. There's going to be more kickers out there in waivers. The Packers will be looking for one of them out there, and if they see something they like, they're going to definitely grab them there. So there is your 53-man roster. So, I mean, the big notables, I guess, A.J. Dillon, Tyler Davis, they're going to be done for the season. They didn't receive the return designation, so their 2024 seasons are over there. Brian Gutekunst, we all know, traded that 2025 seventh rounder to get Malik Willis from the Titans. I thought it was kind of a steal because I didn't think Malik Willis was that bad, but, I mean, interesting move by the Titans there. If Willis does appear in a game this season, he'll become the first Liberty alum to suit up for the Packers since running back Samkon Gatto in 2005-2006. Defensive end Sebastian Barry in 1992 is the only other Liberty product to play a regular season game for Green Bay. So if Willis appears in a game, he will be the first guy. He'll be the third Liberty player to play in Green Bay. Interesting stat right there. It's the fourth year in a row the Packers will proceed into the regular season with two quarterbacks. I mean, the last time they carried three was in 2020. They had Aaron Rodgers, Jordan Love, and Tim Boyle there. Third year in a row, the Packers have carried at least 10 offensive linemen on their initial 53. Greg Joseph did prevail in that kicking competition. Looking at him, Joseph, it came down to that last preseason game, I really do believe. And Carlson missed that 32-yard field goal in the fourth quarter. Joseph made good on both of his tries, 36-yarder and a 55-yarder. So I think that really went down, and that was what was it on that one. Telford and Mosby, who spent all last season on the practice squad, both made the initial 53 there. That's about it on that one. None of Green Bay's 9 undrafted rookies made the initial 53 roster. If the Packers don't add one before week 1 against Philadelphia, it'll be the first time Green Bay hasn't carried an undrafted rookie on its week 1 roster since 2004. That's wow. While no new undrafted players made the initial 53, the Packers kept the 4 who made it last year: Malik Heath, Emmanuel Wilson, Ben Sims, and Brenton Cox Jr. Interesting stuff right there. Green Bay kept 9 of its 11 picks in the 2024 draft, releasing only quarterback Malik Pratt, who was a 7th rounder, and cornerback Kalen King, who was also a 7th rounder there. And the Packers' 53-man roster is comprised of 41 former draft picks and 12 undrafted free agents. 33 were drafted by general manager Brian Gutekunst. That is an impressive number right there. 33 were drafted by Brian Gutekunst. I mean, in Goody we trust, right? He's putting together a dang good roster, and this is a guy seeing talent where talent isn't even there. I mean, you're talking about guys like Valentine, who was in the late rounds there, right? And, I mean, Rashawn Gary, everybody called him a reach. Jordan Love, everybody called him a reach. Just so many guys. Look at the wide receiver room, right? All those guys later in the rounds, right? Christian Watson. Romeo Dobbs, looking at Dontavian Wicks. Now they picked up guys like Bo Melton out there, right? Brian Gutekunst. Sometimes I don't think he gets enough credit for what he does. I really don't. Sometimes I don't think he gets enough credit for what he really does. So some of the breakout candidates. Let's end it with this. I know I said I was going to get to the Badgers today. I'm sorry I didn't get to the Badgers. We're going to get to the Badgers tomorrow here. I promise. We'll get to the Badgers tomorrow here. But some of the breakout candidates that I want to talk about. So first on the defensive side of the ball, it'd be crazy of me to say, well, I believe Jair Alexander and Xavier McKinney, right? McKinney's, that guy is going to be one of the best safeties in football. I really do believe that. Jair's Jair. Like, he's going to give you what he's got you. Who are going to be my breakout candidates for the season? Number one, Carrington Valentine. I loved what I saw out of Carrington Valentine last year in pass coverage. Went through his growing pains, right? This season, I feel like he takes a leap forward. I think it's going to be Valentine Island out there, right? Watch out. It's no love. There is no love on Valentine Island. I expect to see big things out of Valentine in this season here. The guy that I really want to see good things out of, though, Eric Stokes. Man, oh man, stay healthy. Show me something. I just want to see that draft pick pay off because Eric Stokes, I have never given up on that guy to be a potentially a great cornerback at some point, or even a good cornerback. I've never given up on that hope. I hope Eric Stokes has a breakout year there. Between Javian Bullard and Evan Williams in that other safety spot, Bullard's going to be my guy. Man, oh man, that guy, watching his college highlights, this is a guy who blows up plays in the backfield. He's good in pass coverage. He's good in zone coverage. He is good at just about everything you could throw at that guy. So Javian Bullard is a guy for me to watch out for on that defense. And then I mentioned him earlier, but Quay Walker, I really do believe he is set up for a big season. Quay Walker, to me, the last couple have been solid, but not over the top. Watch out for Quay Walker this season on that defense. And then also Lucas Van Ness. I loved what I saw of Lucas Van Ness in the preseason. I think he's going to take leaps and bounds ahead. He didn't have a lot of time at Iowa, right? So jumping into, he didn't have a lot of time at Iowa. Then he jumps into the NFL, and he's playing right away in Green Bay and trying to go through the growing pains so fast there on the defensive line. Everything's flowing fast. I think he's finally had time to be able to settle into it. I expect great things out of Lucas Van Ness. Offensive side of the football, I'm looking at guys on the offensive line. Rasheed Walker, I think, is going to have a breakout season on the offensive line. Elton Jenkins, I believe, is just going to be great. I believe Elton Jenkins is going to be solid and great for the Green Bay Packers on that offensive line. Looking at the wide receiver room, the guy that I don't know if you're going to call it is going to be an underlying factor. I think a lot of the attention is going to be on Dobbs. I think a lot of the attention is going to be on Watson, maybe even Reed. I think Wicks is going to be my breakout guy in that wide receiver room. I think he's going to have a massive year for Green Bay, and he might even equal out what Dobbs or Watson is able to produce on the offensive side of the ball. In that tight end room, Tucker Kraft. That guy has bulked up in the offseason. He looks phenomenal. Watch out for Tucker Kraft to take a leap ahead and possibly, maybe, I love Luke Musgrave, but possibly see Tucker Kraft start to fill that void, or that, start to be that number one tight end for the Green Bay Packers. Those are my breakout candidates as of right now. I'll probably find you more when we talk about the Packers again, but those are my breakout candidates when I look at that initial 53-man roster. I'm just hoping we see Torre, DeBooz, and Michael Pratt all get thrown onto that practice squad. Kalen King, some of them guys. I'm hoping I see those guys on the practice squad because I believe that each one of them could have made this Packers roster. They had some talent ahead of them that they believed was a little bit better. I really do believe they all have realistic shots to be on the Packers roster at some point this season. So with that, that's about all I got for today. Like I always say, like, subscribe, share it to your friends. Nothing better for me, to help grow the podcast here than for you guys out there. If you enjoyed the show, or if you didn't, you want other people to come in and, yell about what I'm saying, share the show out there to your friends. Let them know where you heard this, where you heard that. I'd love to hear their opinions on everything. Leave a review, send us fan mail, go down the bio, send us a text message down there. You click that. It'll give you a link You can send us fan mail there. Let me know what you liked, what you didn't like, maybe what you thought about a concept that I was talking about that you thought different of. I'd love to hear you guys' opinions on that there. But with that, this has been Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage. Thank you guys for listening. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. But until I talk to you guys again tomorrow, deuces.
Yeah, oh my Lord, watch me sway. Darkness falls and we all pray, hoping for the light of day. Down to the river I have held the devil's hand, felt the weight of my own sin, burdened by the heart of man. Down to the river, down to the river.